And here's another big cheery hello to all my friends and family and followers and my future self. I'm continuing on with my series of videos of my journey down Japan in 2024. In the first part of this video, I started in Imabari, followed the coast, went through some mountains, went inland, got rained on an awful lot, and ended up at the coast again, where I took a ferry across to Kyushu. I'm trying to understand what changes this place has been through. First there was a beach and people built their houses here, and at some stage they must have built a road. It's 12 o'clock and those chimes are enough to wake the dead. But anyway, village, beach, village, road, and then they built a railway line. Those big pillars there, railway line across the top. Can you imagine living in one of those houses, having that noise at 12 o'clock every day? I think it's probably tsunami testing, but anyway. And train above. I'm standing on a road, very busy road, and yeah, peace and quiet. Well, what's that? Live at the beach, have a lovely life living at the seaside? Yeah, not really. It might be raining, but you still have to take the time to appreciate the small things in life. The fresh branches, which show that people still care. The stones in the front, I have no idea what they're for, but they've all got holes in them. A big hole drilled in it. The crocheted red shawl. Bottles of water, maybe for the branches, keep them fresh. Another crocheted shawl. A model temple. All set below a lovely rock cliff face. It's raining, so I'm wet, but got all my wet weather gear on. I did have the wet weather cover for my helmet on, but it kept slipping down over my eyes, so I couldn't see where I was going, which in the wet weather could be a little bit dangerous. I've got, I think, about 15 kilometres to go. It's been raining for the last 10, but you know, that's part of it. These things are sent to test us. If I'm looking all hot and sweaty, it's because I am, but I'm also pretty relieved to be out into fresh air again. I've just had to push my bike through a tunnel which is 2,140 metres long, and the reason I had to push was that this tunnel doesn't have a shoulder at all for cyclists. There was a very narrow footpath. It was just wide enough for me to push my bike along, but I had to be very careful not to fall off because it was a raised footpath, and if you fall off the edge of that, you're toast. So I had to be very careful not to come off the edge, and they also had lights sprinkled along the outside edge, so I had to be careful not to run into any of those. make sure the outside pedal was lifted to the point that it could go over the lights, and altogether it wasn't a terribly exhilarating experience. I could see in certain places there was mud on the footpath, and I could see other people's tyre tracks there, so I'm not the first person to have pushed my bike through this tunnel. There's been quite a few before me, I'd say. So after I left Shikoku and crossed the waters in the ferry, I landed in Usuki, and from there I spent 3 or 4 days crossing through the mountains, across the Aso plain and dropping down into Kumamoto. So I've arrived in Kyushu. Yeah, it's a decent sized port, lots happening here. The scary thing is that everywhere I look there are mountains. Kyushu is a very mountainous island. And I'll be cycling right across it and then down. What a silly idea. I've gone shopping. My food bag's almost full and I still have to fit all of these things in. There's bread. Actually, that meal I'll be eating before I go. There's butter, some eggs, a slice of pizza for a snack this afternoon, some dessert because after climbing hills I'll deserve it, and some cheese and milk for my breakfast. Yes, because I don't know what shops will be available till I get to Takita, where I'm aiming for tomorrow afternoon. And just so I haven't given the wrong impression about the sorts of food I take, I've got 6 mandarins in there, 3 bananas, rolled oats, so I do eat some sort of healthy stuff. I haven't got much in the way of veggies, but I'll fill up on those when I get to the next town. So, this is the end of my first day in Kyushu. I found myself a lovely camp spot in the forest. The ground's flat. It's full of rubbish, but you know, I've kicked the worst of it aside. Down there's the river. Up there in the trees on the other side is the road, and if a car comes past we would see a flash of colour, but there are not many cars. So it's going to be reasonably quiet. Look, there's a car. We'll see if we can see it. Look, just went through. That's where the road is. The tent is up. I just have to move in. But I just wanted to show this. If anybody comes to annoy me, I'm prepared. One big bamboo lump. This campsite I'm calling Bamboo Camp because of all the bamboo that's in the area. And down there's a river. So it's pretty cold at the moment, cold and damp. I'm going to have to pack up and get going as soon as possible. Get out into some warmth and some sunlight. Before I set off, I thought I'd be cycling through isolated areas, lots of forest, lots of mountains and not much else, but it wasn't like that. There were farms along most of the valleys and isolated houses and sometimes little groupings of houses, and even when there wasn't much at all, there were always still vending machines. Some vending machines only had cigarettes, but others had a whole variety of soft drinks and coffee, of course, because when you're hard at work you need soft drinks and coffee. A bit disappointing. At the last two Michinoekis, one yesterday and one early this morning, I have seen the most tantalising pictures of hamburgers, and I've been drooling of hamburgers all the way up this climb, and there are no hamburgers. There are just the usual Japanese fare, which I've had a fair bit recently, and I'm ready for a hamburger. Coming out of the mountains, I had a steep and sharp descent down onto the Aso Plain, which is a huge, very fertile farming area surrounded by mountains. And these mountains are actually the rim of the ancient volcano which created this area. Of course, being surrounded by mountains, there was water everywhere, including in the sky and dropping down onto my tent. Once the rain stopped and I was able to pedal on a bit further, it was fascinating to see the modern day graveyards surrounding prehistoric burial mounds. And then I went down a steep hill again and came across a football match with my very own cheer squad.